Former NXT champion Karrion Kross makes his stunning WWE return last night on SmackDown, attacking Drew McIntyre and confronting WWE Undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestle News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well, and my oh my, things are getting very interesting in the world of WWE under the new regime of the head of creative and executive vice president of talent relations, that being one Triple H, because former NXT champion Karrion Kross is back in the company, back in WWE after being released under the guide of the man who had him undefeated in NXT, had him as one of the most dominant NXT champions of all time, that being Triple H. So the hourglass in WWE is once again full for Karrion Kross and Scarlett. It must be said Scarlett is back with him, and Scarlett and Karrion Kross are being paired up on the main roster for the first time, because the two-time former NXT champion and his longtime manager and real-life wife made their shocking return to the company during the closing moments of Friday night's SmackDown. Now, the final segment of SmackDown appeared to be this straightforward verbal exchange between undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns and his challenger for the title at Clash of the Castle, Drew McIntyre. Reigns spoke in the ring for a few moments before he was interrupted by McIntyre's music. The former WWE champion strolled down the entrance aisle, microphone in hand. McIntyre declared that he was ready for a fight right there on the spot, but then he was interrupted by Kross's fall and pray entrance. The silhouette of Scarlett could be seen standing in front of the entrance stage. McIntyre turned to face her, confused, but was then blindsided by Kross, who appeared to attack him from out of the crowd. Kross took McIntyre down and repeatedly slammed his head into the steel ring steps. All of this played out as Reigns and the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions, the Usos, looked on from inside the ring. Now, Kross's attire bore no resemblance to the attire that he was wearing previously on WWE programming during the final days of his tenure in the company. Instead of the helmets and the mask and the suspenders and the gladiator whatever he was wearing, Kross was sporting street clothes. Scarlett joined him at ringside and placed a full hourglass on the ring apron as the first grains of sand just started to flow as SmackDown went off the air. Now, the reason this was significant, of course, is because Kross worked for WWE from early 2020 until November 2021. In NXT, he was this big, dominant force, undefeated, winning the NXT Championship twice, but his momentum abruptly stopped and stalled after he was called up to the main roster in 2021. Infamously, after being undefeated for over, was it a year, 2 years in NXT, whatever it was, he lost his debut match on Monday Night Raw to Jeff Hardy in 100 seconds. Yes, under 2 minutes. His character went through numerous creative changes before WWE released him and Scarlett last November. Of course, again, Scarlett and Kross weren't even paired together on the main roster. Kross was in his gladiator gear. He was wearing a mask. He had suspenders. It was all changed, and Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard clearly didn't see anything in the former NXT champion. Now, it must be said, you have to give credit to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, because they released late last night prior to SmackDown word that Kross could indeed be returning to the company, but they weren't sure at the time. Now, they said at the time that Killer Kross, of course that's what he's known by on the independent scene, Karrion Kross in WWE, could be returning to WWE. They had learned last night that the former NXT champion had been discussed as a name of interest for WWE to bring back to the company. In fact, several within the professional wrestling industry outright expected him to return, and one source indicated that they believed it was already in the company's plans, which we now know that it was. That information was indeed accurate. Now, Kross, of course, it's fascinating what's happened with him recently. He was booked for a Ring of Honor appearance, a Supercard of Honor, before Tony Khan purchased the company. And he was contacted for AEW for a booking that he passed on against Wardlow, and chances are he would have came in for that booking and he would have lost against Wardlow. And instead of after turning down that booking and being pulled from that Supercard of Honor appearance, he is now back on SmackDown, back in WWE, and in a program with the biggest star in WWE, that being Roman Reigns and his challenger Drew McIntyre. He's also been working dates for MLW and New Japan since his release in 2021 as well. Now, I'll get into my opinion on that in a second, because the news doesn't stop there about Karrion Kross, because the plans reportedly that are in place for Karrion Kross have major implications going forward. This is huge. This is absolutely massive, because there has been a major pitch within WWE/USA Network that could have WWE Championship implications. This is huge. As I mentioned, Karrion Kross returned to WWE last night on SmackDown, putting himself firmly in that main event picture by attacking Drew McIntyre, by confronting, or at least facing off, with the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Now, Fightful Select, Sean Ross Sapp is reporting that there is a big pitch for Karrion Kross. They have heard of a specific pitch within creative, and one of the reasons for it, among the pitches that they are reporting, is that Kross would be inserted into the Drew McIntyre Roman Reigns feud and be involved in a match for one of Roman Reigns' world championships as opposed to both. Fightful have been informed that USA Network want a top title featured on Raw more often, as Roman Reigns is rarely seen on their shows since winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 38 earlier this year. One USA Network pitch was even to have an interim title, though they're not sure if that was ever seriously considered by WWE. Of course, one thing that AEW is doing right now is having an interim world champion, while current world champion CM Punk is on the shelf through injury. As with anything, of course, plans can change, and they haven't heard if this is set in stone, but one pitch could be that Karrion Kross could defeat Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship and be placed on Monday Night Raw, or he could, on Monday Night Raw, win an interim WWE Championship and be the flag bearer and the top heel on that show. So it's all fascinating. It's all moving parts. As I mentioned, I have to give credit to Sean Ross Sapp and Fightful Select, because they kind of called it before it happened. They said that this was actively under consideration, and next thing you know, Karrion Kross is on SmackDown last night. Am I ultimately surprised? No. I think that Dakota Kai was a great example of what to expect going forward, and that are names that were succeeding in NXT, names that did well in NXT under the guidance and leadership of Triple H, that didn't get a fair shake on the main roster, or the creative wasn't there for them, or they just got badly treated, it didn't work out. If they're still available, chances are they will be coming back to WWE, and chances are they will be booked and positioned in the same way that they were booked and positioned in NXT. Someone like Karrion Kross, who again, I don't think there's anyone in NXT under the leadership and guidance of Triple H, I don't think there's anyone who had more success or was booked more dominantly. That's probably the best way to put it. Maybe not success, because other people had more success, Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, etc. But nobody was booked more dominantly than Karrion Kross. Nobody. The guy was undefeated. He won the championship twice. The only reason he lost it is because he got injured. That is it. The guy was arguably the most dominant NXT champion of all time. Triple H sees money in this guy. Now, must be said, that's a view that not a ton of people share, because I think when Karrion Kross returned last night, some people, maybe not so much rolled their eyes, but said, I wasn't really on board. It must be said, there were quite a few people at the time of Kross's tenure as NXT champion that said, is he really all that, though? He was booked like this big dominating monster, and a lot of people said maybe he didn't have the charisma. I mean, he was smashed over. He beat everyone you know and love in NXT during that time period, the black and gold period. He beat decisively. And you could argue that it was a case of they really tried to get this guy over. The presentation was good, the entrance was good, but really, was there a lot really else there? Was there a lot under the hood of the car in this one? And that one's still up to debate, honestly. And can he succeed on the main roster in that presentation? He never got a chance. And I think he deserves a chance. But is he of the level of a Drew McIntyre, of a Roman Reigns? Time will ultimately tell on that one. Ultimately, though, WWE does need main event names. They do need stars. I don't know if Karrion Kross is going to be a SmackDown guy going forward. If those reports are accurate, looks like him and Scarlett will be on Monday Night Raw. He's probably more needed on SmackDown, to be honest with you, because they don't have names. They're desperate for names on that show. Of course, I'm assuming the draft will be happening at some point this year, so things can change and be moved around. But it's just another name that Triple H has brought back. It's unpredictability about WWE. That's not a bad thing as well. And I'm sure there are names that are currently signed in AEW that are thinking, man, if I was on the free agency list, I could be back in a prime position on WWE television right now. There are still other names available, i.e. Johnny Garganos, that could be coming back to WWE soon. We don't know. But Karrion Kross in the main event picture, winning the WWE Championship. What a comeback story that could be for him and Scarlett. And look, ultimately, I hope it goes well for both of them. Again, he's quite divisive, I think, in terms of people, whether or not they truly buy him as a main event level player, but we'll have to wait and see. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Karrion Kross is back, and maybe more returns are to come. I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.